there are probably players playing League of Legends that were born after Fnatic last won a title. Because it's 7 years, right? Like, you can definitely play League at 7.
True. I mean, some of my junglers in solo queue are for sure 7-year-olds. Like, yes. there's no way.
Wow, of course, the title is still far away. Right now, we find ourselves in a series with Fnatic 1-0 up. Once again, they will remove the Kalista from the hands of Hansama. The Yone now moves over to the G2 side as a ban with the Gwen alongside it. Of course, the Jace is now available. When I think about Fnatic, no, they're not really a huge Jace team themselves. So I wonder where it will fall on the priority ladder here in this match.
Yeah, not a Jace team at all. Really, Oscarinin hasn't brought it out once. Humanoid hasn't brought it out at all in the mid lane. Obviously, we've only seen it in mid lane from G2 as well. So it's possible Jace might just fall all the way through the draft.
I mean, it depends if G2 really wants to play an AP jungler or not. I think if you want the AP junglers, then the Jace becomes that crucial AD mid lane that you can pair with it.
True.
But if you actually don't want to play the AP junglers, and you want to stick to the bruiser kind of style champions like Pantheon, etc.
Yeah, if you're Kana, it doesn't really matter what you're doing. Yeah.
If your passport is Korean, you're allowed. Otherwise, with an AP jungler as a mid laner, possibly, but yeah, we haven't seen a lot of it.
Well, you can see Fnatic already getting rid of the Lilia to reduce that AP jungler pool. Zyva's still there, but has kind of fallen out of the meta a little bit. Senna will be the first pick. Senna was buffed on 25.10. The crit you get from her passive is increased a little bit, and also when you're playing AD Senna, importantly carry Senna, you have a higher drop rate of souls when you last hit minions.
Certainly do, and we've seen it popping up globally as well. Meanwhile, on the side of Fnatic, well, they're staying true to their style. Taliyah, Pantheon, these are very quintessential Fnatic picks. It gives them an incredibly powerful mid-jungle duo that allows them to attack the side lanes. They're likely going to have something like the Rakan paired alongside it, or maybe even the Leona, so that they have that additional lockdown, but aggression and picks is the name of the game.
I mean, so quintessential that Razork has not lost a game on this Pantheon this split. He's played it 6 times. He has won in every single one of those games. Wukong and Nautilus, the answers here for G2. They are leaving their mid lane for the second rotation.
Yeah, and we see the Nautilus also being picked up, one of the most quintessential blind picks we have in the league right now. I think it's just really nice to get some kind of lockdown, because this Wukong is really good as a follow-up engage. You run into the Renata counter pick, which will be difficult in lane, but if you can make it to those team fights, still having that Nautilus hook is really easy, because that means people just can't step up and face check you anymore.
Yeah, also depth charge, just long-range, non-committal engage if you want it, right? You walk up to someone, hook onto some terrain, press the depth charge on them, and it follows them all the way home. Is difficult to play into Taliyah, is difficult to play into Renata because of their abilities to disengage. Let's get into the second set of bans. Orianna, the first pick from Fnatic. Want to get rid of that Orianna-Wukong combination.
They may even ban the Hui, a more preferred mid lane choice over the Victor for Caps, but of course I think both mid lane mages are a viable pick for him. They may even consider Ahri. I don't love it, but just throwing it out there as a possibility if they want a little bit more mobility, someone who can also comfortably match on the side lanes, that can play for themselves a little bit more. The Jace now going to be banned away from the side of G2, so that kind of answers that question of what's going to happen to it. But yeah, it definitely seems that G2's priority is still moving away from that Jace Rumble, but of course it will be Fnatic that gets that first pick, and we imagine AD carry is going to be the priority.
Yeah, and I feel like with the Senna, you kind of want to damage mid laner, but I don't think there's a lot of really good control mages up and available. With the Orianna being taken out, the Zeri and the Wei are out. So I wonder if they're going to look into one of these classic Wukong pairings, Nico or Annie, that's was so popular in 2023. When you play the Wukong, you want a mid laner that can follow up and dive in with you with some kind of AoE CC.
I will put a very small point in people's heads. I've seen some Nautilus mid from Caps in solo queue recently. He's not going to bring it out, but it has happened. I have seen it. It is always a possibility. We could go back to that MSI when he kind of baited everyone into picking it and went really fully. Zeri is the lock for Fnatic. Upset bringing that out for the first time this split, leaving their top laner for last. No real surprises there. Things like Jax are still available for Broken Blade. He's undefeated on that this split as well. So if you do want something that's relatively okay blind in the top lane, you can go towards that. But Gnar is a little bit safer blind in top. There's the lock. Ahri alongside it for Caps.
So the reason why I don't love Ahri is I don't love the matchup into Taliyah, just because I mean, Taliyah has a way of punishing her dashes on her own.
Yes! Yes!
Oh, we get the Yorick.
It's not great into Gnar, but I love Yorick top.
I mean,
so I'm a big fan.
I'm very excited about seeing Yorick as well. One of my main champions in solo queue as well. But into the Gnar, it's not an easy matchup just because how narrow the Yorick E and how crucial that ability is to land. The fact that Gnar's hitbox is so tiny makes it very easy to whiff it.
I mean, but then let's think about it in the context of the comp, because when I think of Yorick, I mean, you two play it a lot more than I do, but I think of him as a split pusher, mainly side lane threat. So is Fnatic, I guess, looking for more of a 1-3-1 style of play with their main goal of being attacking side lanes?
I mean, I think Fnatic's going to play a very wide open, very open game, kind of try to be flexible. They have the two different globals or semi-globals with the Pantheon and the Taliyah, and having the Zeri being very safe on mid-wave together with the Renata, they can really be really creative in the mid-game and try to attack this Ahri or the Gnar.
100% agree with you there. I think the ability to play through sides, as Vedi and you have mentioned, is really important here for Fnatic. Yorick can also teamfight relatively well, especially when he has his maiden up. If he's hitting that E, if he's putting a good dark possession, the walls down, he can really change the outlook of a teamfight. So, although in the past Yorick was predominantly, hey, I hit side lane towers and I win the game, he doesn't have to be that anymore. He still has a bit of that team fighting power.
Yeah, and it's our second Yorick of the league, only played by Adam previously and now being pulled out by Oscarinin. Very exciting. I really want to see this champion kind of come to fruition, because I think this is one of the coolest champions in the meta right now. They can do a lot of different things, and there's a lot of really cool mechanics with Yorick that I can hope to dive into as the game goes on.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take a back seat, because my knowledge of Yorick is like a B+, and your knowledge of Yorick is like an A+. I'm going to be here to add in my little tidbits as we go along. It is interesting that it's Oscarinin bringing out the more unique pick in this top lane matchup, because Broken Blade has kind of made his name over the last couple of years for things like the Zac, the Warwick, sometimes the Yasuo top as well, being that guy that invents a little bit in the top lane for G2.
I mean, Dylan on the podcast did say that sometimes when things are a little bit shaky, the best approach is to just stick to simple, make the win condition very simple, straightforward. And I think that when you look at the draft, it is quite straightforward. They have tools to match the side lane pushing that Fnatic has brought out. Ahri and Gnar, both very solid side lane wave clear champions. They have pick potential, they have solid team fighting, and they have good scaling thanks to the Senna. So it makes sense that it's a little well-rounded. How things will execute, though, I do prefer what Fnatic have brought to the table.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's so funny because if you remove the Senna, technically, if you showed me this G2 draft, I would not be able to point out what year it was played. Just because all these champions are being played every single meta, every single year. They're like such a staple in our competitive environment, and it's just for a reason, because they all offer so much, and there's so many different kind of things and ways they can impact the game. So it really, as you say, I think it's a great point you made, the fact that G2 is really not trying to reinvent the wheel. They're not trying to do anything magical. They're just trying to play good, solid League of Legends.
Now, of course, that does open itself up to a greater conversation, but for now, let's focus on the matchup, as Labrov lands a nice hook, but I know you guys want to talk about the top lane matchup. I want to talk about the Senna before we get to that.
Oh, yeah.
You already mentioned the changes that happened to her on this patch. They wanted to bring her back into the AD carry fold by basically making it easier for her to generate stacks when she is played in that AD carry role. The game that I watched of her being played was from Gumayushi. I believe it also came out from Viper. I forget which game it was, but I think we've seen it a few times now over in the LCK. And the stacking, I mean, usually I think the sweet spot is about like 80 around 20 minutes. But of course, in order to get that, you need to be aggressive and you need to stay in the lane. And one of the big problems that you run into in this meta is the swaps that you often see.
Yeah, great point. I mean, the swaps are really the crucial point, because the classic meta, or the classic matchup, used to actually be, as we see, fighting bot on top of it.
Oh, lots of risk going down. Upset ignited as well. Has to try and dash away. Labrov looking for a couple of extra orders, but doesn't have enough. Upset burning the Ghost to escape.
Yeah, and it looks like the Nautilus line pick actually working out really well, even in the individual 2v2 matchup. The Renata doesn't really have that high impact in the lane when you compare the Zeri to the Senna. The Senna being so powerful, as we see Oscar being very, very... what are those? Are those pandas?
Yeah, little pandas, man.
Yeah.
Oscar wants to go to Worlds this year.
Killed with cuteness!
He's also very cute. Look at little Gnar.
But that's part of the power of the Yorick. You can have all of these ghouls ready to spawn, all of these tombstones in the lane, and then you hit your Morning Mist, and all of them will spawn and jump onto the champion that you've hit that Morning Mist on.
Razork.
He's fine. No way he gets caught here.
He's not fine.
No way! Oh, he has to flash. Okay, maybe he does get caught here. There's the charm follow-up. Aegis Assault not going to block any damage. SkewMond on the board for G2.
That ward on the entrance to G2's jungle, our observers highlighting it for us now, is what spotted that out for G2. The collapse comes through them from Labrov, and we are seeing his impact here in Game 2, doing very well in the bot lane trades and catching Razork out. Means it is first blood to G2.
Cheeky by Razork trying to go for that, and here we see another attempt.
Oh, Broken Blade about to go mega. This is going to be really difficult for Oscar to escape. Dark Possession goes out, but SkewMond's able to dodge to the side of it. Broken Blade goes mega, jumps forward, doesn't have any follow-up. Oscar has to burn the flash. G2 will take that summoner off the Fnatic top.
Yeah, look, he has Doran Shield, he has second wind, he has the biscuits, and he has the cloth armor. That man is not dying. When he goes low, he has so much regen, and also crucially, the Yorick Q gives you 10% missing health when you use it. So the lower you are, the more healing you get from you use it. And it means it makes Yorick deceptively tanky in the early laning phases, but just because how much regen he has when he's low.
And the wave state's not too bad for him either. That wave is pushing into him. He's already level 5 as well. In an ideal world, he can set up a bit of a freeze for his Razork.
Razork looking for Broken Blade. Would try and get the double jump, didn't quite land it. Dark Possession not able to keep Broken Blade close, far enough away from the wall.
There was
to stop the flash.
A very narrow window there where if he'd flashed, he would have just flashed into the wall. But he gets the spacing right, and now both top laners find themselves without a flash.
Razork looking for Caps in the mid lane. Caps still has his flash, but just burn his teleport with the wave pushing in. Should be able to catch it. Labrov was roaming up towards mid and is caught out by all of Fnatic. Upset. Gets Fnatic's first of Game 2.
And it looks like Labrov walked into... Oh my god,
Nice
charm. Never stops.
Nice charm. Humanoid! Bail out into the shield. Mikyx saving his mid laner with that shield. You have to feel. Humanoid able to walk away.
Caps' auto attack didn't quite do enough damage to finish off the kill. If he had gotten level 6, that would have been a kill. But luckily for Humanoid, he gets away just barely with his life. Now, we talked about wave states. Broken Blade's found himself with a very good one in the top lane. Oscar will likely be forced to stick around to try and fix this wave. But now he finds himself in a precarious position. The good news for him is that SkewMond isn't there. The question is, does he know that SkewMond isn't there?
Right, so Oscar can stick around because he has the Maiden.
That's true.
This wave's just going to shove in now. Like, as soon as you bring Maiden to the battle, it's like, okay, that wave is immediately going to get forced under Broken Blade. Tower forced away as well with that Morning Mist, so in the end, Oscarinin won't really care too much. He can just back around the corner, still has that teleport if he needs to get somewhere quickly.
Big CS lead though for Oscar. He's all 20 CS up on this Gnar, which is not really like, I think this matchup doesn't really become that good until way later into the game. So really nice display of the individual mechanics by Oscar, but the action never stops.
Again, like SkewMond and Labrov invading together here, but Caps is nowhere near them. Seismic shove, SkewMond dashes forward, and Fnatic immediately collapse. We talk about disjointedness, a lack of connection in G2. Fnatic are punishing it really well.
One thing I'll also mention is a lack of respect for upset Spark Surge. The E on the Zeri, your ability to collapse on a fight is so quick because you can use the terrain.
Hook onto Humanoid. Caps dashes forward through the Unraveled Earth, though. Gonna get stunned up by Razork, who dives in. But Spirit Rush away from Caps will get him to relative safety.
You'll notice how in Game 1, it was very timid. Both teams very slow, patient, not overforcing. Game 2, all right, warmed up now, the rust is off, everyone's feeling the confident on the stage, and now there's a lot more scrappiness. But it is Fnatic that is overall coming out ahead. In the mid lane matchup, Cap finds himself with another advantage over Humanoid, but the rest of the map is very much going in the favor of Fnatic, especially as Razork and the Fnatic bot side collapse quickly onto SkewMond and Labrov.
Han's currently sitting on 22 stacks on the Senna. In case it's been a while since you've seen a Senna, I've accidentally covered it up with my circles. I'm sorry, I'm not used to drawing circles on this. It's there, 23 stacks on the Senna so far. So has hit that first breakpoint on Senna. Stacking every 20, you get more of those stats. Wallop coming out from Broken Blade into the Dark Possession. He's in the cage. The Maiden chasing him down as well, but with SkewMond on his way, Oscarinin realizes he might be the one in a little bit of danger. Labrov coming around the corner as well. There's the Cyclone. Oscarinin will be taken out. Bailout won't save him. Grand Starfall coming in immediately into the hook. Razork dive forward. Looking for SkewMond, who flashes away himself. The Riptide from Labrov will get the slow into the concussive blows as well for a bit more CC. Labrov trying to get in range to maybe hook himself away. Flashes away. There's the hook, and he manages to get to safety. Labrov plays that exceptionally.
Labrov's mechanical play there was amazing. The fact that he auto-attacked the Pantheon to give SkewMond the time to space him away from the Pantheon and powered Q and got out there with the nick of his life.
Upset going in. Oh, last embrace killed a minion there, so immediately procced onto Upset. He couldn't chase any further forward with that crash. Burst lightning. Caps now going in onto Humanoid. Seismic Shock going to try and get him away. Humanoid does still have flash here. Will he use it? The answer is a definitive no. G2 claim the feat of warfare with their third kill of the game, but for it, they lose 3 grubs on top.
So it's G2 that are finding picks across the board. They find a pick onto Oscar in top lane. Caps gets a solo kill onto Humanoid in bot lane. And while I was skeptical about the Ahri pick, they make it work as Caps continues to find advantages for himself.
It's a nice little solo bolo as we see the top side fight. Now, crucially, Yorick does not have the Maiden. And when you don't have the Maiden, you don't have that kind of all-in threat that you usually do, and a lot of the damage you usually have is gone. So now if Broken Blade can look to find a fight before he gets that online once again, this is one of your best timings to look.
Steel Caps for Oscarinin though. Caps caught out a little bit here. SkewMond's going to dive forward onto Humanoid. Weaver's Wall coming out. SkewMond able to survive for the moment with the Seismic Shove coming back. He has no escape. Fnatic find their third. Oscarinin was gnarred underneath the tower, and now Broken Blade can try and chase him in the mini form. Oscarinin has a few of those minions to help him out. Flashes forward, maybe thinking he could land the last right to get that extra health, but was unable to do so.
A great spacing from Broken Blade with the Ninja Tarbites, as I like to call them. Sorry, the Split Steel Gap they're called right now, but really good spacing, keeps Oscarinin away, and he tries to get the last little healing with the Q flash, but doesn't end up mattering. And as we said, no Maiden means no all-in threat, and this is Broken Blade's avenue.
And although it's been a very bloody affair, Fnatic have actually got the rule of the roost in terms of the first neutral objectives. You can see gold basically even, but 3 grubs and the first Drake over to Fnatic.
I just love the fact that I feel like everyone is skill checking each other.
Oh, that hook! But Mikyx waiting around the corner. Caps coming in as well with the TP, but Labrov has backup. Humanoid dies. The bailout won't save him. The charm lands onto Mikyx. Labrov takes the first kill, lands the hook for Caps to follow up to take number 2. There's the assist for SkewMond, there's the kill for Caps.
Bend it like Beckham.
It is action across the rift right now, but it is G2 that continue to find the picks. 6-3 now the kill score. This Ahri is getting very strong very quickly on a side lane. And something that we saw in the previous game, Finn, that you were alluding to was this idea that G2 like to try and play through Caps on side, and they're continuing to find success with it.
And if there's one Ahri I don't want to be fed, it's Caps. When he plays Ahri, he makes magic happen. And here we see the win rate not looking that good, but Caps tries to make his best to change that.
Have another look at this play. It's a bit of lollipopping there onto Humanoid, let's say, as Labrov goes in while the TP finishes from Caps.
Makes the play happen. SkewMond is a little bit further away, but Caps has more than enough damage, and of course the Senna ultimate to provide that additional bit of safety. The flash from Broken Blade.
Into the Gnar, into the ward. There's the follow-up with the Cyclone, but the Dark Possession locks them both in place. Broken Blade, Goomba stomps his way towards Oscarinin. Second Cyclone hits, and that's the Maiden lost again for Oscar.
And the Maiden is widowed, and his Yorick falls down now. They actually don't have the grubs, but still this is really nice for Broken Blade. He's gonna look to get some plates there with the Demolish proc with the grass. And when he gets that Trinity Force, this Gnar is going to become a menace.
Also, takeover lands with the Berserk. Razork going in for a little bit more CC. Caps has no flash, no Spirit Rush, but maybe the charm's enough for him. Aegis assault from Razork will get the shutdown. Meanwhile, the Bob caught underneath the tower. Mikyx and Humanoid healthy enough to keep chasing in. Upset with the lightning crash, looking for a bit more damage on Hansama. He has to flash away. The Bob looking for the CC on Mikyx, but he can't find it. Humanoid takes the tower, and Upset manages to escape.
We've got 12 kills in 12 minutes.
Let's go!
The gold remains even, but Fnatic and G2 are going for each other's throats here in game 2. The tower looking to fall. There will be no response from G2, and that's going to be first tower blood secured by Fnatic.
What a great game so far, honestly. Like, I love the action so far. I love that even Upset is going for the individual play. Look on Hansama. Hansama sidesteps all of the Zeri bullets, but it all starts with this pick onto Caps.
How crazy is it that Mikyx just walks at him? He doesn't even try to sidestep the charm. Mikyx sidestepping everything, throws out the ultimate. Caps realizes that he has to flash away, but it's still not enough to stop Razork chasing him down. Meanwhile, underneath the tower, they're just picking apart at Labrov, setting him up for the inevitable dive. And then meanwhile, in the jungle, you've got Upset stopping the roam coming through. It means that there's no protection here. Upset's forced to flash away and use his summoner spells, but he did his job of keeping SkewMond out of the bot lane play.
I just want to say, it's a really small thing that I noticed in that fight. The bailout on Razork, like he's never going to die in that situation, but it gives you movement speed traveling towards enemy champions. So he wouldn't have killed with that Aegis Assault unless he gets bailout from Mikyx as he walks towards Caps. Just very small little bits of play that Mikyx is doing at the moment that is getting his team back into this game. About 300 gold ahead right now. We haven't checked in on Hansamah's stacks for a little while. He's only at 37, 14 minutes in. He's struggled to really get as many as he'd like, mostly because he can't walk through the jungle because Upset keeps stopping him. So he can't get those extra absolutions from his jungler farming camps, which is one of the ways on Senna that you really start to explode those.
I mean, often I think of support Senna being able to just freely roam, right? And so you can just move around the map, you can chip away, look for ganks, kind of work with your jungler to not only work with camps, but also pick apart your opponent HP. But when you're just sitting in mid lane like this, like Upset's not giving him any avenue to go anywhere near him or really build those stacks. But of course, the difference is Hansamah is still farming, so he's still getting a lot of items.
Yeah, and crucially, the fact that he has no flash means that he can't even step up and play aggressive to get those stacks. Because usually when you have flash, you can kind of afford to kind of step up a little bit more. But now he just has to play really, really slow because either there's going to be a Taliyah wall, a Pantheon ult, or a Mikyx flank that is going to catch him without his flash like it happened in game 1, and he's going to die. So it's really tough right now for him.
It's that collapsibility you both talked about in draft, the ability for the Taliyah and the Pantheon to be in a lot of places on the map really quickly. Next Drake up in 7 seconds time. Razork and Mikyx once again teaming up to invade this bot side jungle, maybe looking to see if SkewMond goes towards his Krugs. Instead, SkewMond's looking towards the mid lane. Will be spotted out with that Scryer's Bloom. G2 don't have control of that river right now. They're trying to get control of the mid wave. Labrov hooks forward. Shaken back with the handshake. There's the hostile takeover as well, but it doesn't really find anything. Flash hook! The spark surge not enough. There's a death charge follow-up bailout on Upset, but no one's low enough for him to really utilize it. Mikyx has to flash away. Razork now in the midst of 3. Another good handshake onto SkewMond. Another good hook from Labrov. These Qs aren't missing. Humanoid dies to Caps in a 1v1 on the bot side.
And it's Labrov James with a slam dunk on mid lane. What a crazy hook. 2 in a row, finding Upset with flash up. He did not expect that. We don't expect that. No one expected that. And Labrov actually really stepping up in his game too. I love the individual plays we see from him, and it's really in the zone right now.
Meanwhile, Caps is making it impossible for Humanoid in the side lane as he finds another solo kill. You're seeing Oscar trying to put pressure down on the sideline, but he's also starting to struggle. Caps, though...
Caps is dead. Yeah, there's no real escape from that.
Not much that he can do about that one. Razork using his ultimate to find that
Oscar has a flashback. TP behind him as Broken Blade looks for the Gnar. We'll have the one-up follow-up, so we'll get the one for nil so far. Humanoid coming in. Broken Blade doesn't really have any tools to escape this. Humanoid looking for the chase.
I don't think he has the
fights. Wallops forward. There's the seismic sharp, and Broken Blade has his jump back up, crunches his way to safety.
It's the solo laners of G2 stepping up. We have Broken Blade with a solo kill, Caps with a solo kill.
Mikyx has no flash. Like, there's no way Mikyx survives this. It will be Hansamah who secures the kill. Oh, it's SkewMond actually that gets it. Now 5-2-1 on this Wukong.
I mean, where do we even break the game down?
Let's keep going.
It feels like a scrim right now with how these teams are just constantly fighting one another. The pick will allow G2 to set up for the Herald. I don't think Fnatic's in a position to contest. But when we really think about the game state, on a side lane, Humanoid cannot approach Caps. He needs help in order to actually deal with this Ahri on side. Pantheon is monstrous in the skirmishes, but admittedly, SkewMond is not that far behind him. Yes, he's a full level down, but with the Trinity Force completed, this Wukong is going to be offering a lot in the team fights, and all of that doesn't factor in the scaling of the 280 carries. Of course, Upset is slowly ramping up into the game, but as Hansamah does the same, the stacking souls is always going to make your late game that much scarier. So overall, I think that G2's just in the better map position right now, given how things are playing out.
And I also feel like maybe this is what G2 needs, because we said that G2 are desynced, they're uncoordinated, but if everyone is just stepping up insanely hard individually, this is maybe your avenue to beat Fnatic. Because I feel like G2 is just individually outclassing Fnatic in every avenue on the map right now. And it's not because they're playing better as a team, it's just because Broken Blade, Labrov, and Caps, Micro, what am I saying? Micro is just so strong right now. Oh,
I 100% agree with you. And G2 are just constantly putting their foot on the gas, but Broken Blade maybe went a bit too early. Dawning Shadow enough to shield him, but he's hit with a spear from Razork. Now the Aegis Assault coming out. Labrov gets another hook. They're going to target Humanoid first, but he has a stopwatch. The Seeker's enough. The hostile takeover still hits the Berserk. Now Labrov left out to dry as Oscarinin and Mikyx close in. Upset looking to jump across the wall as soon as you praise G2. Fnatic buying 2 in response.
Humanoid and Razork getting massive outplay in a 2 versus 3. You talked about how Razork has a 100% win rate on this champion. That should be an example as to why. The way he managed the damage coming through from G2 was flawless. Not only getting a kill, but buying enough time for the Fnatic squad to come and save the day.
I think crucially Broken Blade played a little bit too fast there. He jumps in, not expecting Razork in that bush. And the fact that he dies at the beginning of the fight, he doesn't get a lot of damage out, he doesn't tank up a lot of damage, and he just doesn't really have a big impact in this fight. And Razork with the Thunder Sky, with the Aegis Assault, whatever it's called, he just buys so much time for his team and just creates so much space in the end.
Perhaps missing the charm as well onto Razork means that they couldn't really follow up with too much more damage, even with that Aegis Assault down. Fnatic now have the gold lead, about 700, nothing too consequential. But we're still going along at almost a kill a minute this game. Next Drake up in a minute 30. It is Chemsol though, so not as contested, although the individual Drake's power still pretty good. We have Artakan coming up in 9 seconds as well, but don't expect either team to really want to fight around that early.
I will say, despite all the fighting, look at the flashes. Almost every flash is up right now. Only SkewMond does not have his flash, which means that I think teams are pretty willing to fight this, because as long as you have those flashes, you can kind of take those avenues more aggressively.
Even the HUD has its flash up, guys. Broken Blade's flash, I think, just has a couple of seconds before it's going to come off cooldown as well, but that should be a backup for any future fights. G2 trying to get some vision towards this blue side right now, set up for that Drake in a minute's time. Hans Summer still stacking up. Weaver's wall hooked out of it, and Hans Summer's on the right side. Charm wide again from Caps. SkewMond looking for a little bit more damage. TP in from Broken Blade. He immediately responded to that, but wasn't really needed. And because of that, Oscarinin will have TP advantage for the next fight.
Yeah, they've got position over the Dragon, but it's very early, 30 seconds. And you look at the top lane, Oscar with the main now aggressively pushing in that top side. And it seems Fnatic is quite willing to let this go.
I mean, Razork's keeping him at bay as well, right? So Broken Blade can't get across here. That tower's going to fall. Broken Blade was trying to farm up Mega from the walls, couldn't get there in time. So it's a tier 2 in the top lane for Fnatic. Riftel charging in the bot side. Upset is here to try and defend, but Caps and SkewMond might make him think otherwise. Tier 1 in the mid lane, so 2 towers to 2 towers exchanged across the map.
Yeah, but really good response by G2 there to actually realize, oh, we really messed up, we went a bit too early to Dragon. Let's put the Herald down bot and get those towers so at least we can trade the gold back somewhat. Broken Blade looking to drop that top lane wave and actually move down for this Drake. It really looks like G2 wants to fight this.
Oh, Caps with the charm onto Mickey, would chunk him out, about half HP. The Celestial opposition, keeping him tanky enough for the moment. Fnatic started up the Drake, it's at 5,000. Hans Summer 7 forward, another charm. Hostile takeover though from Mickey Buffered. The smite goes down, it's SkewMond who secures it. Razork going in, there's the Dawning Shadow as well. And look at the seals with the Cyclone coming out onto Razork and Oscar in. Another charm onto Oscar, he's gonna die. Broken Blade going back in. Another hook from Labrov lands and he manages to walk away with 50 HP. Upset dashing forward and Caps still has a spear versus spare. Razork flashes in, Upset kept them on the edge, and now the Grand Starfall for the chase on the SkewMond. But Razork's gone way too deep, way too fast. The Aegis Assault doesn't last for ages as G2 get a kill on the enemy jungler to round things out.
The spirit of Sparta overwhelmed Razork as he finds the spear, but let's go back to the start of the fight. The ulti from Mickey comes through to try and split G2 up, but it's still SkewMond finds a way into the Dragon Pit to get the steal. Look at the CC that comes through, the knockup onto the backline, connects onto 3. A charm connects onto Oscar to secure that initial kill. A hook comes through from Labrov. Just individually, G2 connect the CC onto the right target, and then Upset tests the waters, and then out of nowhere, Razork finds a beautiful spear, and it's at this point where he says,
I got too excited.
I've got this. Never mind, I may have gone too far.
Yeah, he said, I got too excited. Exactly what he said.
And we saw it, Razork.
He'd get the double with a spear, which is pretty impressive, though. As Continuing on, 24 kills in 23 minutes. The Drake secured for G2, puts them on 2. Humanoid now, though, does still have the flash. Dash in from SkewMond. Good seismic shove as Mikyx caught up towards the top side. Humanoid able to escape. Mikyx does not have that same luxury. Caps on the chase. Weaver's wall out from Humanoid, but Caps is looking for Razork instead. The charm, we'll say it missed. It definitely missed. The question is, was Caps playing the mind games, or with Razork just walking away safely? SkewMond's going to start up the Oscarinin here. By his lonesome, did have the clone to help him out. Caps walks through all of the rings of Oscarinin damage there just to put himself a little bit lower in case a Fnatic decided to fight. They won't. The Oscarinin will go to G2. Oscarinin still pushing in that top side.
My goodness. So in terms of state of the game, I mean, the goal is practically dead even, but you've got to look at the itemization. I think the junglers find themselves very even. Oscar and Broken Blade, this is normally the point at which you'd say in the side lane, this is really where the Yorick is kind of going to have that advantage over the Gnar in terms of the extended 1 versus 1. But in terms of AD carry itemization, I know that the Senna items might not look like the scariest, but they are the traditional build that we're seeing on Senna right now. Hansamah finds himself at 82 stacks at about 24 minutes, and he's only going to continue to scale as Labrov fishes for a hook.
Once again, there's the charm as well onto Razork. Labrov falling low, hostile takeover coming out. Labrov survives for a long time, but in the end, Upset takes him down. And the TP in from Broken Blade slams Fnatic against the wall. There's the charm to follow up. G2 just obliterate Fnatic.
It's a beautiful team fight from G2 as they get themselves the ace. Another hook from Labrov. Yes, he's died 5 times, but he has made those deaths worth it. Setting up his team for success and starting off by finding a nice hook on the Mikyx.
Yeah, and look at this fight. Look how SkewMond finds the deep angle, goes around the Shattered Earth, and goes deep onto Upset, finds a massive cyclone on all the players, and really helps Broken Blind find this Gnar, because they're all knocked up in the air, and they're all stuck together, and it's just a really, really clean up from the Gnar.
And Baron on spawn for G2 out of it. A clean fight from G2 leads to them ballooning this gold lead. 4K ahead right now. Caps will have a Zhonya's as he recalls. The tower in the top side falls. No one there to hear it, but it definitely did go down. Caps finishes his 3rd item and immediately teleports down towards that bottom side. There's a blue buff there with his name on it that Labrov has already scouted out.
Oh yeah, G2 wants to play fast with this Baron. The fact that Caps TP is down means that they're gonna leave Broken Blade on mid to push down here, and probably gonna look to play really deep in this jungle and get all the control to make it really, really, really difficult for Fnatic to ever enter that zone.
Oh, it has been an action-packed game, and coming into this game we talked about how for G2, when you look at this draft, it is generic isn't the right word, but it's very standard. You know, when we think about a lot of the creativity they demonstrated this year, a lot of these picks are stuff that you'd see kind of from many teams all around the world, but sometimes simplifying the draft makes it that much easier to execute, and they've had a lot more individual agency, and they've been making a ton of plays. Razork currently staring down the face of his first loss on this champion so far this split, as G2 with the Baron lays siege to the tier 3 towers.
Charm goes wide there from Caps. Broken Blade just shepherding a minion in the mid lane. Upset's going to try and deal with that. Has 2 items on this Zeri. Caps, though, goes in with a charm and down goes Upset. Had the opportunity to flash but didn't use it. Perhaps didn't see over that wall as Caps finds his mark, and Labrov says anything you can do, I can do too. Flash hook on Humanoid. He'll fall as well. Hansamah pushing in here. The Maiden will keep them at bay for the moment, but Oscar's now slowed with a piercing darkness, and G2 are adding another name to the list. Oscar falls. It's all on Razork and Mikyx to try and defend. They have the hostile takeover, that Renata ultimate may be enough to buy them a few seconds, but they need 15 before Upset respawns.
So only the Nexus Tower's left standing. Razork, I don't think he can defend this.
He was charmed, he was walloped, he was gnarred into the wall. The handshake on Broken Blade will cause him to fall. Mickey finds one, gets that shut down, gets the gold. Mickey still holding on, looking for it. The burst lightning coming out from Upset won't be enough. G2 will even out the series 1-1.
And G2 fights back in game 2. They find so many crucial individual highlights. You can make a montage out of G2 in this entire game. So many crucial moments coming down by Labrov, by Caps, by Broken Blade, even by SkewMond and Hansamah has great games all across the board. Really, really solid play from G2, and very excited to see going to game 3.